We're almost done with our AWS ELB and WAF video tutorials. We discussed and demonstrated how to provision our hack site, then the ELB, then we migrated our data to RDS. What else? We looked at the functions of ELB like sticky sessions. Then we delved into application security by configuring and tuning our AWS WAF and testing various web application attacks such as SQLI, IDOR, XSS, DDoS, and many others. We also removed EC2 public IP addresses because we don't need it. It's just making our EC2 vulnerable to various attacks. Now, what we want to do is we'll use our registered domain name using Route 53 because in a production environment, we don't really use the default AWS ELB domain name. Alright, so before we do the actual lab demonstration, let's first introduce our tabs. The first tab is our load balancer page, and we see that we only have one load balancer, which is the Styx ELB. So I will click these because we want to test if we can still reach our web application via our application load balancer Styx ELB. And look, our URL is styxelb-807, and who wants to use this? This is not realistic. This is not something that we do in a production environment. We don't memorize these URL, and it's also very difficult to recall this long URL. So our purpose is to create our domain name, or we already have domain name, but to transfer it from Godaddy to AWS Route 53, and this is our AWS Route 53 page. And to start is, I don't want to click get start, rather I will click these horizontal lines, and I will click hosted zones. Now this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna create hosted zone to transfer our Godaddy domain to our AWS. Alright, so how do we start? Now, before we start, let's look at our third tab. This is the domain portfolio of styxshow.com. Yes, I bought this domain. This is mine. And this is what we're gonna use in our lab. And as you can see, this is the DNS record or DNS records. These are the default. We're gonna change this in a bit. Alright, now let's go back to our Amazon Route 53 page. And as you can see, we still have 0 host zone. We're just gonna create one. So I'm gonna click create hosted zones, and we're gonna name it styxshow.com. Okay, and the description we'll just use test lab environment. Yes, our AWS, what we're doing, all of these EC2, ELB, the traffic group, all of these are just testing environment or test environment. I'm gonna click create hosted zone now. Okay, and maybe you're thinking this is it. We have the styxshow.com here in our Route 53 page. We already added. No, this is not yet it. And if I go to styxshow.com page, it's still not accessible. It still says styxshow.com is part, okay, courtesy of godaddy.com. So we're not done yet, obviously, but notice what has been created. We have 2 entries. The first entry is the NS, which is our name servers, and as you can see, we have 4 destination. Okay, we're gonna use this later. The next entry is our SOA or start of authority. Okay, we're not gonna change this, or we're gonna leave this as it is. Okay, as is. What we're gonna do is we are going to use all of these 4 name server record to our Godaddy domain. Okay, if I click name servers, you will see there are 2 name servers already added, but these are default Godaddy name servers. We're gonna change this. And as you can see, we have 2 options: Godaddy name servers, which what we're currently using is ns09 and ns10.domaincontrol.com. We're gonna use our own name servers. And the name servers that we're gonna use are basically these 4 values. Yeah. And it's quite easy. All we need to do is copy these. Okay. I just copy the first one. And then the second one. And how about the third and fourth? Well, that's easy. All we need to do is click add name servers. And as you can see, we have the name server 3. Another one, name server 4. Let's copy the third, paste, and the fourth as well. Paste. I'm gonna click save. I will click continue. And it's still showing the NS09 and NS10. That's okay. If I hit refresh, it will now reflect the 4 name servers that we just added from our Route 53 configuration. Alright, so this is it. Are we done? Well, not yet. Actually, we still need to add another record. Okay, so I'm gonna click create record. And why is that? Because we have our hosted zone, yes, but we still haven't associated this to our application. Okay, and also we want to use a subdomain. We don't want to use styxshow.com for a testing environment or for a lab environment. What we want to use is let's use labs. Okay, labs.styxshow.com. And yes, this will still not be available, not accessible, because we haven't done anything yet. Okay, but you see labs.styxshow.com is the 5th tab, and later we're just gonna hit refresh. All right, now back to our Route 53 page, where we're going to create another record. The record type will be A. This stands for alias, but again, we need to add our subdomain. We're gonna use labs. Okay, and then I have to toggle this alias here. This allows us to select, okay, which component we will route the traffic to. And as you can see, we have many options. We have API Gateway, AppSync, CloudFront, Elastic Beanstalk, etc. But what we want to use is our ALB, our application load balancer, which is the Styx ELB. Okay, I'm gonna select these. And the next select box here, I'm gonna click. And then we will select, should be Asia Pacific, Singapore. And then the next select box will be, well, actually it's not a select box, it's more of a field. There's only one option if I click this field, which is our Styx ELB. Okay, nothing more. So this is what I was talking about, where we will associate our load balancer to our record, okay, to our hosted zone. I'm gonna click now, create records. And as you can see, we have now labs.styxshow.com. Alright, so we have successfully added a new record, our alias record. Now, let's test. Now, let's just verify that our web application is still accessible via Styx ELB, dash 807.285. But again, this is not recommended to use, especially in a production environment, and especially if you're really hosting a website or web application. Now, this is our 5th tab. Let's test if our domain name, if our hosted zone is now working. I'm gonna hit refresh. Alright, as you can see, it's still not available. Why? Because sometimes it may take time. Maybe a minute or maybe 2 or even more. Now let's wait. Alright, now let's test again. I'm gonna hit refresh. As you can see, our Route 53 domain transfer from Godaddy is working properly. So guys, What do you think? Is Route 53 domain transfer from Godaddy easy or not? And by the way, we're not done yet. You know our web application is not yet completely secure. So let's finalize this in our next video.